Welcome to the NFP podcast, where we explore the empowering world of natural family planning. I'm Amy Smith. Join me and my co-host Emily Appledorn each week. Together, we're here to dive deep into the science, the stories, and the spirituality behind NFP. Every week, we push back against the free love culture and advocate for a culture of responsible love, where intentionality and respect are at the forefront of family planning. Join us as we discuss everything from the practicalities of charting and fertility awareness to the profound impact NFP can have on relationships and communities. Whether you're new to NFP or a seasoned pro, our podcast is your go-to resource for honest conversations, expert insights, and real-life experiences. So grab a friend, settle in, and get ready to be inspired. This is the NFP podcast. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, everyone.
Happy NFP Awareness Week, Emily.
Happy NFP Awareness, Amy.
So funny. Whenever I think of this week, I think of like the years that I've been doing NFP stuff and teaching, and like my early years, like the first year, and how like zealous I was. This week of like, putting out all this information and holding these like information sessions at parishes, which are great. I totally think they should still
of course
take place, But I didn't have the understanding, or I didn't focus on the word awareness. And like I was telling you yesterday, like I really wanted us to talk about that today as we're celebrating, quote unquote, celebrating this week, promoting this week, because I think I approached NFP Awareness. I know I approached NFP Awareness Week as NFP Acceptance and Action Week, meaning like I'm going to go out there as a trailblazer and convert everyone in my parish, and they're going to be on board, and they're going to be using NFP and accepting NFP and using it in their marriages, And I laugh at that now because it's so naive. And also, but I think about it more now in like almost like a meditation on that word awareness, and how in that process of human behavior change and conversion, how the Lord leads with awareness. He draws things up before our hearts and our minds, and not in an accusatory way, right? But just in a like, hey, we need to look at this. And it can be different levels, at least for me, right? And it's been different levels of conviction when that happens. So I don't know. I think let's start first. I was thinking, let's just start. Both of us can share a little, like, how did we become aware of this teaching? And I know this kind of came up in our stories, which I'll link in our show notes for people that want to go back and listen to those full episodes. But just as like a way to start the episode, why don't you just share a little bit, like, how did you become aware of this teaching of the church?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when I could say, like, I remember knowing the acronym NFP growing up. I don't know if I would confidently say I didn't fully understand like what the church taught and, why she taught what she taught. But I do remember my parents being led to NFP through like a suffering, actually, like from the loss of a child, like miscarriage. And so then they started doing NFP classes. And so my first real like solid exposure, so to speak, would be like in middle school. And I just the memory of like my mom's thermometer and chart just like laying around kind of thing. And so I think my awareness was like, this is what the church asks us to do. And I've always known that the church wasn't like quote unquote okay with birth control. And my parents have always known that too. I think maybe I've shared in the past, like, I'm just thinking about, I begged them to get on birth control in high school for painful periods, like begged. And they were just like, no, absolutely not. Like, but there was no like they didn't think I was sexually active. I know that. But it was just like, no, you're not doing that. Looking back, I'm so grateful. Like I wouldn't have wanted to be on it in high school, but I had no other alternative. So anyway, all of this is kind of shaping and framing like my perspective, so to speak, or awareness, I guess. Like I was taught without the explanation of why, like I did know, like, birth control, no, NFP, yes, but like I wasn't aware of any of the context. Um, but I also think that I had a general awareness of, that's not true. I was going to say awareness of how birth control works, but that's not really true. I actually didn't at that time. But all of that to say, that's when I knew that the church taught the acronym NFP. I didn't know until just like moving forward in life, exactly what that meant. Especially, I'll just, elaborate on, especially like Humanae Vitae. Like I didn't know any of that stuff until, oh gosh, much later,
Yeah. So I don't think I grew up knowing anything about NFP at all. No clue about the church's teaching on human sexuality, nothing like that.
Like never heard the term.
Never heard the term. I mean, I can't recall ever hearing the term. I think my awareness started when I was with my mom in Southern California, and was coming back to the church, and we went to this, I think it was a Catholic bookstore, like a hole in the wall Catholic bookstore. One of those ones where like, not like dirty hole in the wall. I don't mean it like that. I mean like just small and like a million books, which in like what felt like a closet space. And we were walking up to the register, and I have the most vivid memory, Emily, like turned for whatever reason, quote unquote, like whatever reason, I turned to the right, and there's Theology of the Body for Beginners by Christopher West, like a little stack of them. Again, now it's like, oh my gosh, this is totally a God thing. I look at that book, I'm like, oh, and I pick it up and I put it on the register, and my mom gets it, and I immediately open it up and start reading it as we're walking out to the car. And I sit in the car, and I maybe read 2 pages, and I was like, Mom, this is amazing. And I literally devoured that book. And I was reading it to her, and she's never heard any of this. She grew up as a Catholic, she grew up and like never heard any of this stuff. Oh my gosh. And so from there, I just feel like that was the catalyst. And then it was like a rocket ship took off. And then I remember when I fully became more aware of the church's teaching on birth control, I think I was reading Humanae Vitae, and I had taken it to adoration, Eucharistic adoration. And I was sitting in front of the Blessed Sacrament. And I remember reading why one of the reasons, the abortifacient reason as to why birth control is wrong, and having been sexually active and on birth control, I remember that's when I felt so much contrition in my heart. And I remember looking up the Eucharist, Emily, after reading that and crying at the thought that, oh my gosh, if I ever ovulated while on that pill and having intercourse, oh my gosh, like, have I conceived children and they have died? Like, I don't know, right? And that's not to sound hyperbolic. That's just like, it was very genuine. And I just wept with this, I'm so sorry, Lord. Like, yeah, forgive me. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I didn't know. And I just felt this sorrow. And I think, Emily, that it's so underrated. So a couple of confessions ago, Father recommended I read Psalm 51 as part of my penance. And I've been meditating on it ever since now as part of my morning reading. And the line in there in that psalm, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew in me a steadfast spirit. Like that and it goes on basically to praise the gift of contrition, that like my heart I need it to be changed, and you do not spurn a contrite heart. And I think in our culture of love, if you will, we don't give people the opportunity to feel contrite, which is really not biblical. It's not Christian. The way to conversion is through contrition. It's this awareness of, I have hurt the one who loves me, and I feel sad about that. Like that is a gift. That's a huge gift, Emily. And I know we've, spiritual writers all over the place write about that all the time, right? Like that contrition is a gift. I feel like we don't hear that very much anymore. It's almost like you don't, oh, we don't feel too guilty. Don't be ashamed. It's okay.
It's all, the word shame is such a, I mean, for lack of a better term, it's a buzzword. It's a really big buzzword.
Right. And I think our plan is probably our next episode, we'll talk about kind of sexual shame and sexual past. But this gift of awareness, and I think during this week, so during NFP Awareness Week, if you will, I was thinking, Emily, that I feel like there's 3 different stages that maybe one could find themselves in. I think it'd be really easy to just blow this week off and to say, oh, it's NFP Awareness Week. I already use NFP in my marriage. Like, this is not for me. Or, right, I'm a teacher of NFP. Like, I know the gist. Like, I use it. I teach it. I got it. Not for me. NFP Awareness Week is for those people who don't know anything about it, for them to become aware of it. I think that's true. I think that there's a group of people who we could do our best to evangelize and share the good news. What is NFP? What does that mean? How do we apply it? What does the church's teaching? Sexuality? Like, there's so much richness that we can bring to people's awarenesses so that they know, it's on their radar, because it's never been on their radar before. Then there's a group of people who are aware, so they are hearing this, but now they're quickly moving from, okay, I hear it, and now I want to do something about this. Like, I do feel contrite about what I've done in the past, or what I'm currently doing in my marriage, and what I'm currently doing in my marriage as far as family planning methods I'm using. But also, and this is where I feel convicted this week, Emily, I've already thought about this, is in my attitude towards my spouse and the disposition of my heart towards my spouse, how that can be changing. And I think that goes also into this third group, which is the group that's like, oh, well, we're just going to teach people about NFP Awareness Week, but it doesn't, we're not going to get anything from it really, because we're already on the boat sailing down the river, But I think still in this group, which maybe I would find myself in that group, and you too, right? We teach it, we use it. But there's always, we're not perfect, right? We're not saints in heaven. So it's the attitude of the heart, Am I in this category? And like Father Mark Yavignon said, am I willing to accept another child? Am I willing to accept one less child? Like, where is my heart in this season when it comes to family planning, when it comes to my marriage? And I'm just feeling uncomfortable, Emily, to be honest with you, which is funny. I wasn't expecting that. But I feel like the more I was thinking about this week and okay, what do I need to be made aware of? And I feel like I've already been made aware of just the beginning of I think there's a level of healing that needs to still take place in my own heart and for my marriage because of my past wounds. There's still more there. There's still more there that the Lord wants to touch. And yeah, anyway, so that's kind of my thought, is I feel like don't blow this week off. It's tempting to do that, I think. Don't blow this week off if you think you're an expert and you already do NFP and you're kind of in the trenches. God still has, I think, stuff for us here. And that gift of awareness is like a gift that keeps on giving. Lord, make me aware, make me contrite, make my heart contrite so that I can grow closer to you, so I can be made more perfect. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think you kind of referenced it with the Father Yavignon quote, but the other group is the couples or the families that are really wrestling with this idea of, do we have a serious reason to avoid a pregnancy? Are we just avoiding because we think we should be? Have we really, really thought about this? I'm thinking about a family that I saw at Mass yesterday, and just such a beautiful family. And I remember her sharing, we just kind of realized, oh yeah, what why shouldn't we maybe be trying to not that's the thing that it's so funny because the word trying has so many different connotations, right? And coming from the infertility aspect of trying sounds like just like a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of everything goes into it, right? Medications or lab draw. I mean, like trying just mean is all encompassing in my mind, you know. But what she meant was, you know, we're really like avoiding each other during the fertile time, but is that really what God wants? Like, are we just doing that because we think that's like kind of what we're in? Have we really discerned, right? And she's pregnant, and I just got invited to a little baby shower sprinkle or something, you know. And this baby has come from, you know, that sort of conversation and that sort of thing, and such a blessing. And so I really feel like that's the other group, right? Like that they they've been open to life. They're not going against what the church is asking. They're just maybe they're in the weeds right now, right? And so it's just feeling very like, well, this is just what we're doing right now. We're just avoiding, you know? But it's like, mm, is that really what we're being called to right now? So anyway, I just think that's such a beautiful um that's just a beautiful example of how they really pondered like what is God calling us to. And so I think I would just say like for all the families or the couples that just kind of feel like they're going through the motions, right? Motions of their fertility, motions of life, that sort of thing. Like, oh, we'll get to that. Maybe like maybe January, like let's get through the rest of the year, you know, whatever. Like maybe we'll think about trying to, you know, get pregnant or something. Like, you know, we have the knowledge of understanding our bodies and obviously having the free will of when to, um, you know, come together in the marital act. But yeah, it's really that word courage. I was just telling Amy before we started, like, it's really, I mean, that word is coming up for me. Like, just have the courage to discern, because sometimes we can try to do all the things and then like, oh Lord, don't let that happen, right? We were also talking about that before. Like, here I'm going to give you all my effort, but I really don't want this to actually unfold, you know? So anyway, I feel like it's kind of similar. Like, just have the courage to discern, have the courage to like be present with your family and just kind of like be aware of the, you know, of the movements of the spirit. Like what's our family like looking like and feeling like? And um yeah, it's just really, oh man, I just always also think like if you can have babies and you're healthy and all the things, like we really just get one chance to do that. I mean, it's very short time that we get a chance to have babies. And so it's easier for me to say that than to do that because I don't have that um, physical benefit, so to speak, of just like being able to have them all the time. But I just think it's such a beautiful thing when you have that fertility um, and you're in a healthy space, like to be able to have those healthy babies and healthy pregnancies, you know?
I've been surprised how many women I've had conversations with because of our age, which we're not, very old. I'll be 40 this year and Joey will be 42.
I'll be
Um,
43.
right. But we are, so maybe you're experiencing this too, Emily, like because we have Moses, who's 6 months old. Our oldest is 9.5. And a lot of his friends, he and his friends are like the last in the family. Or maybe it's like the twins' age, 5.5. So our twins, like in other families, they don't have anyone younger than them. And so, we go to events and all these kids are like 5, maybe older. And then we come with a baby. And it's been shocking actually to me how many conversations I've had with women that like I didn't even start. I just start with by saying, "Oh, hi," and they share like, "Oh, like I wish we had another. I could totally see having another baby."
Oh,
And I don't think their fertility window has closed, but I think that again that mindset of maybe as a couple they've already shut that door, and it's like I think what's sad though is when I hear this hear it being said, it's like, but did you know you can open the door? Like if you're not infertile yet and you haven't gone through menopause, even some sterilization procedures can be reversed. Like, that door is not permanently closed. And that was like, oh, wow, that's even like a whole nother category of people I hadn't even thought about, or a mindset I hadn't even thought about. Like, but this real like, okay, well, and once I make that decision, even that decision to be done, quote unquote, is permanent and I can't undo it. And it was funny because I was having a conversation with one of these moms that happened the other day at like a trampoline park. And she was sharing this and she said, how she was, having some challengings with her preteens and personalities and temperaments and fighting back at different directions from her parents and all normal, child development stuff. And she said, it just sounds so nice to like hold a baby in that. And it reminded me of the scene from My Big Fat Greek Wedding, the second one. Did you ever see that, Emily?
I don't think I did.
Okay. Her sister, they're like driving in the car and her daughter is now like a teenager in the back and like just like kind of ornery, like doesn't really want to talk to her mom. And they drive up to her sister's house who has all these kids, like teen down to like a new baby. And she's looking at her sister with all these kids and like holding the baby, kind of dreaming that she also had a baby because she said, my sister is dealing with the struggle of the older kid who wants to be independent but still does need parents. And she just gets like this squishy baby. I'm butchering the actual movie line, but it's this concept of like, but she still gets like the comfort of this sweet little cuddly baby. And I can totally relate to that because sometimes I'm like, my kids are just not listening to me. We're just having a harder day. And like, I kind of like just go into the squishy baby. I'm like, okay, I'm just taking him upstairs to nurse him and put him down for a nap. And it's like, he's my little like respite.
It does make sense.
Yeah, he makes the other stages and ages, a little bit softer, if you will, or gives me like a landing place as a mom to like have that that comfy, cozy, cuddling
Absolutely.
spot. So I think that's something that I wasn't even made aware of until talking to these women and like, oh wow, here's a state to be in that if maybe that is what will come to mind this week for some of like, oh, meditating on this concept of NFP, of family planning, of just having this perpetual openness to life, which we've talked about, and you can go and listen to that episode. Like this perpetual mindset of openness to life is that door is not closed until God closes it. And that's a very Catholic mindset, right? That we are a pro-life religion, that we believe that God is from the moment of conception until natural death. He opens life and he closes life. Like he starts it and he ends it. And that's the same with our ability to co-create with him. He starts that and he ends that on his time and in his way. And so if we feel like we have arbitrarily closed it, kind of just from our own decision, to know that, well, if God hasn't closed it, it's not really closed yet. He gets the final say. So, it's like, it's whenever your kids do something and they think they're so powerful because they did it. And really you're like, okay, I could easily undo what you just did. Like, or usurp that, decision that you've made. God, how much more so can God do that for us? So to have hope in those situations.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. How much more can God? Yeah. Just kind of swoop in. Excuse me. Yeah, that's really beautiful to think about. Don't despair in any of these stages, right? Like the contrition is a gift, right? And then it's what we do with that. Like that's okay to sit with that. That is a really it's such a beautiful healing that can take place with that contrition.
I also think, and this is not my MO because I am type A through and through, not the most gentle soul at all, but it really was feeling touched by this concept of awareness week, this like idea of a week. And that if you are becoming aware of something, or when I'm becoming aware of something, I immediately jump to action. And there's that middle ground, which is acceptance, like becoming aware of whatever it is that God's showing me, And then accepting that reality, right? Accepting maybe my part in it, accepting the change that's going to need to be made. And I think the beautiful part, right, is that God is so patient. And he will not shove us. He just will be patient and wait. And I think that that is like something I do not meditate on enough or allow myself that space too, Emily. Like when I become aware, I immediately, in maybe my like feeling of guilt, I want to get out of that feeling. Like I want to get out of it. It's so uncomfortable. And so I just move right to action. Like, okay, I'm aware of this. Like, let's change it, change it, change it, change it. And it never sticks. And it's like I keep beating my head against a wall and I wonder why. And I think it's because I'm jumping ahead of God. Like he wasn't ready for that to change yet. He wasn't at that stage yet. And I jumped ahead because there is something beautiful about sitting with that contrition, sitting in that awareness for a little while. Like it doesn't have to move to action because it won't stick yet. But if I let the process unfold more, if I let him lead with the time and let myself heal along the way, then change can actually be fruitful and be more permanent. And I feel like I'm just being shown that more and more lately, Emily, is like, gosh, I don't know. I feel uncomfortable. I'm aware and I'm uncomfortable and I want things to change now. And I feel like I've jumped into action so much that like I beat my head against a wall and I'm exhausted at that. And I just feel like defeated and deflated a little. And I'm like, okay, Lord, yeah, the idea is surrender. Like, all right, well, I keep trying it that way and it's not working. So I'm a little bit more willing to try it this way. And I think for people who maybe are hearing NFP for the first time this week, you're Catholic, maybe you've been using birth control or got sterilization, or we'll deal with that in the next category. But say you've been contracepting and you're hearing this and you're not liking it. Nope. I want to bury my head in the sand. Not interested. Emily, like I love you. Like I love that person right now because I can so relate. And you know what's great about the truth and about God? He's not going anywhere. He's not changing. We've all been there. Everyone has heard the hard truth and been like, I'm going to pretend I didn't just hear that and go about my merry way. But you know what? It'll come back. It'll come back. And when you're ready, he'll still be here. And the church will still be here to welcome you with open arms when you're ready to sit with that and to listen more and to move through that process of accepting the reality of what decisions that have been made, what's been done, and then move into that action of making a change and having the Lord, change your heart in that. So I know I've encountered it in sessions I've done. I'm sure you have too, Emily. When you're talking about NFP, you're sharing this, and you can see in the audience the hard-hearted, like the rage eyes almost of like, okay, everything you're saying, I don't want to be hearing this at all right now. I'm hating this message, not liking you right now either. Like, and it's so hard as a presenter, right, to be like, keep smiling about this because I can so pick up on it. But this week is for you too. Like everyone, it's the idea of like we're scattering the seed and it's going to fall among all these different surfaces. Everyone's heart is in a different place. Everyone needs something different. But I just had like a different excitement about this week, Emily, of like, oh, this is for everybody. This is for everybody. The NFP, quote unquote, pro and the NFP ignorant, for those that have no clue and are practicing, living in mortal sin and don't even know it. Like this week is for you too.
Yeah, I just want to, like everything you were saying about God and just, walking with him through this. Like he can handle this. Like I have to remind myself of that a lot. He can handle he can handle all of this. And that's such a comfort, right? Like, we're not hiding anything from him, like the he can handle our brokenness.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And our tantrums and our, refusal to comply, if you will. Um, I think, we don't want to presume on God's mercy. I
Mm-mm.
don't know, Emily, I've just been remembering a lot of instances where I made lots of decisions in my life and did lots of things, and Lord received lots of holy communions in states of grave mortal sin because I had no clue, And I think even though I was told something, it's like I didn't hear it, I didn't receive it. And it just, yeah, it's a point of sorrow now to think about that. It's also a season of my life where and when I think about it, like I have so much more admiration and like love for God that He was loving me when I was in that place and didn't want that for me and was just walking with me in that. As I was walking away, He didn't walk away from me. And that's just always so powerful. And I go back to thinking about my older sister, Emily, and that profound moment I had when I went to Mass the day after I found out she had died. And, you know, somewhat curious, like, where is my sister's soul? Like, what happened? And then no clue, no answer about that, but just this extremely strong conviction about who God is, that He was there. That, like it's always about Him, and then it's never about Him. Does that make sense? Like,
Absolutely.
He does not change. And so based on our decisions, there are decisions, but He does not change in that. He's not leaving us. He does not turn away. So, yeah. So I think for all those educators out there that are doing great programming this week, that are offering, discounts and deals on things that you offer couples and women, or parishes who are offering, programming or sessions or informational booths, whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it because you never know where that seed's going to fall, and everyone's going to be in a different stage and different season. And I think we do often look to that one end of the spectrum, the awareness part of like people who are ignorant about this matter or who are obstinately choosing to ignore this teaching and still act as if contraception is an okay thing. And the fact that you shouldn't be using contraception is just some, old man in Rome telling you what to do in the bedroom. A kind of like all this justifying we're doing in order to enable us to continue on that behavior, like that we still need to address that category of people. But there's also the whole other category of people who are practicing NFP, who our hearts still need more conversion. We still need greater openness to life. We still need greater pushes towards generosity, deeper examinations of our conscience. And yeah, and I think this week can bring all those graces to us. So
And healing,
and healing,
right? Like,
for
this is
sure.
such a tender spot. You're bringing two people together who have wounds,
Right.
like in such an intimate part of their marriage. Like,
Right.
this is naturally going to be so attacked.
Right.
And so we have to constantly be aware of that
Right.
also, like, and just try to fight.
Yeah, that's a really good point too, Emily. Yeah, and yeah, thinking of that twofoldness, don't assume that this week or that healing from this week, I mean, this was already my mistake. It's only Monday. Just started yesterday. It's only Monday. Is it's going to be about the baby part of it. Well, what if it's more about the bonding part of it? What about there's something in the marriage and that relationship that God wants to make better and needs to access, different parts of our hearts that need healing. Speaking of myself here. I think, Emily, before we close, though, I do want to touch on one other category of individual or perspective. And I know we're missing, we're not covering everybody, but trying to at least get under that bell curve. And that would be the individuals who have children through IVF or IUI, who have used maybe even surrogates, right? Who have just done the artificial route to trying to have a child. And I think, one of the big things that I think it's important to state is that you don't know what you don't know. And so if a couple of in goodwill, goes to the doctor, genuinely does not know that IVF is wrong, believes, right? Like children are a gift and a blessing, and we're trying to have them. This is a good thing, and pursues that route and has children through that means. They're coming to the knowledge that that path towards the end of children was not a good path, that it was gravely evil, does not discount or discredit your current children or make them any less valuable, any less made in the image and likeness of God, any less loved by you as a parent. It says nothing of that. It says you thought something was good and you made a decision, and now you're learning it's not good. And I think that that's totally valid. That's how like most things come to fruition. It's more of a grace from God, right? When we're pursuing something and we learn along the way, or our consciences are rubbed along the way and we don't go through with that decision. Like that's a huge grace to save us from that. But if we have gone through that, there's still forgiveness and redemption. And again, the idea that it's grave matter still, but that you are fully culpable for that. Well, if you really, really did not know and you were making the best decision you could, well, then no, you don't have that on your conscience. So I think becoming aware of this now, I would hate for that category of parents who have pursued those means to conceive their children to think that, becoming aware that this is evil, that they can't take that to confession and say, that was actually wrong of me. I should not have pursued IVF. And if I had known then what I know now, I would not have pursued that route. You can say all those things and at the same time acknowledge your children are a gift and a blessing and you love them. Like those are not two separate things. Because oftentimes I hear people who have gone through IVF and they're like now in this, they almost feel as though they're confused. Like, well, I have these amazing children. I love these amazing children. I'm so grateful for these children. They say like, well, I don't actually regret doing the act because I have this as the result. No, like you can actually regret doing that act and still be grateful for your children. And I think that that's just not said a lot. It's like both of those can be held at the same time. What do you think, Emily?
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. You made a point, like these children are not any less loved by their parents. They're also not any less loved by God.
Right.
Like, yeah. And so I think it's just, our society, it's too misunderstood, I think, to be able to outwardly voice those things. Like,
Right.
I'm very, very sorrowful for the way that I did this.
Right.
I also love my children. So if that can be so misunderstood, someone can totally interpret that like, golly, she really wishes she didn't have those kids, whatever. And that's just not the case. Like, that's not what someone means. And so I think that's such a private feeling, right? Like, and just talking about contrition in general, contrition is it's such a private thing. It can be, and so you just hope that they have someone that they trust. Hopefully that's their spouse or someone dear to them that they can talk about this with, a priest, a friend, whatever, because that's something that needs healing, right? Like that's not something you're supposed to hold and carry till you die. Like you can work through that and still love your kids and know that they are loved by God and you are loved by God, right? God can handle your contrition and he can heal that. And so don't be afraid to, I think it's just kind of like a scary thought to like even feel those feelings, let alone speak them. I'm not in a situation like that, but I can imagine it feels like you're going against your kids, perhaps, like, how could I ever say this? Like, I would never want to lose my kids, So I think there's just so many feelings wrapped up in that.
Well, and I think too, it'd be good and honest, right, to admit, and I've done this. I have gone to confession and I have literally confessed and I have said, and Father, I don't really feel sorry for this. Like, I'm not feeling contrite. And in that moment, when I speak that, I'm given this amazing grace.
Yes.
But I feel like, to be honest, so I think it is also this awareness could come up of like, oh, wait, IVF was wrong and it's evil. And oh my gosh, this is not a good thing. Well, but would I really not do it again if I knew I could have these children that I love so much? I don't know if that's true.
Right. You can take that.
Yes.
Yes.
As if God doesn't already know that, right? Like, but to speak it, to bring it to light, you'd be amazed. I mean, we all, right? We're always amazed at what God does with that. Like, it's really being honest with ourselves and, in that beautiful sacrament of confession to say, like, I used IVF to conceive my children. And I'm kind of not sorry about it because I love my children and I wasn't able to have a baby. And what if God didn't give me a baby? Like, what if not doing that resulted in me not having my kids and God never blessed me with children? Like, I don't know if I would go back and not do that then. Like, that's just start to have that conversation with the Lord. Bring that to that sacrament, and there will just be so much grace poured, so much healing brought there, Emily, like that's just so raw and honest and good. But I feel like no one, like, we're just not having that conversation. And to your point, there's probably lots of reasons why, but getting the muck, like, in order to get out of the muck, we got to start moving in it. And so start moving in that direction. And that can be a gift and a grace of this week too, right? This awareness of like, okay, rock and hard place. Like, I'm hearing this is not great. Kind of not that sorry for it though, because I have my kids. I get that it was bad. Like, okay, maybe that's that awareness that we're sitting in for a little while. And now we need to bring it to confession and just start to move through it, right? Like, awareness is that first step. So be patient with yourself. God's being patient. He's working in us. Don't rush him. Stay in awareness as long as we need to. And then he'll kind of keep moving us forward. But don't bury your head, try not to bury your head in the sand. If you are burying your head in the sand this week, again, we'll be here when you decide to pull it out. But yeah, just moving forward with that. And so I think that's another kind of population this week that can be touched by NFP awareness and the gift of healing that God wants to offer all of us. So I think that's it. Anything else, Emily?
Yeah. My heart breaks for those thoughts, like, that can go through people's minds, because you're talking about your kids.
Right.
Like, it's just, I just think if we're so moved to emotion and empathy for others, like, how much more is God's heart just like so open wide, I feel for anyone wrestling with that, It's really, just like let God just do it all,
And that, growing in trust. I mean, I don't know. I'm so curious. I would love to hear stories, from people who have different encounters with our Lord this week. And the fruit that's born from that. So we hope you're enjoying, on that note, we hope you're enjoying the extra content this week we're putting out. So every episode this will be, this is one that we're launching on Wednesday of NFP Awareness Week. And we've got more for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So be sure to tune back in. And then probably the following, next week, we'll have a special announcement about a project Emily and I are working on for the fall for parents. So we're excited to share that with everyone listening too. So that's it. Happy NFP Awareness Week, everyone. And we will see you next time. Bye, Emily.
Bye, Amy.
That wraps up another episode of the NFP podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found our discussion enlightening and empowering. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Please connect with us by sending us an email with your questions and stories to thenfpshow@gmail.com. We'll be back next week with more insights, tips, and heartfelt conversations about natural family planning. Until then, love responsibly.